Welcome to Iron Arrows. We are picking blueberries. I almost said strawberries. We have an abundance of blueberries. So we've picked over here. The real big bushes are over there. So we're probably going to make jam today.
And we do have some that are inside, like 2 bowls that are filled.
2 full bowls.
And this might be also if this one gets full.
Yeah. Welcome to Iron Arrows.
Okay, so we brought the blueberries into the house, washed them off, gave them a vinegar bath, went through them and made sure that only the ripest and yummiest blueberries were chosen for our jam. And so then we put them into this pot and we've been boiling them down, and then we put in 3/4 of a cup to a cup of organic coconut sugar. We added a little bit of lemon juice. This is the same lemon juice that we canned in a previous video. And we're looking at 3 to 4 quarts of blueberries, and so we're going to put them in pint jars. So we'll have quite a few pint jars of jam, and we're looking forward to that. So.
Okay, we added a little more organic white sugar. It was too sour. I was too liberal with the lemon juice. So we're at probably 3/4 to a cup of coconut sugar and about 1.5 cups of granulated white sugar. You can see it rolling. That's neat. I don't know if you can see it very well, but so I'm gonna taste it. It's good. So we don't usually like to add too much sugar. So we bought Pomona's pectin, which we used for our strawberries. It was great. Blueberries do not need pectin, in my opinion. We have been eating the blueberry jam from last year that I just added sugar and a little bit of lemon juice to.
When you open them, they're more firm than this. It's more firm.
I think the toddler was eating out of this one, so it's his jam. But
yeah,
see that? It's pretty good. So we'd rather have like less sugar and have it be less firm. More like a spread. So we'll probably jar this up in a minute. Okay, so this is cooked down pretty nice. Hopefully it'll be nice and thick. And we're going to fill these to a 1/4 inch headspace. So at the end you put that in, I'll show you. When you have the funnel in, always do a little bit more than you think, because obviously you'll take the funnel out and then it'll go down a little bit. So this is a step sometimes I forget and my husband has to remind me. Wipe the rinse. So it's good to use a nice clean paper towel. And then Farmer Boy wants to have a turn, so Farmer Boy, are you watching? So 1/4 inch, pretty close. It's a tiny bit lower, but I don't stress too much about making it exact because it's pretty high. So yeah, this is the part I have trouble with sometimes. So you don't crank it super tight because you want the air to escape. So not super tight, but not loose. And then you put it in here. This is boiling, and the water's at about right there. But obviously, as you put cans in, it's going to go higher, and then you want it to be 1 inch to 2 inches above the tops of your jars. So go ahead and open the dishwasher, Farmer Boy, and this will be fun. And I keep them in the dishwasher to keep the jars hot, so that you have hot liquid going into the hot jar. Yep, go ahead, we'll clean it after. And then going into a hot pot, so you don't want to do any cold, unless you're doing cold pack, and there's special instructions for that. So I haven't done that yet at all, but so I just make sure my liquid's hot, my jars are hot. It's okay. It will spill. It's not a big deal. It's so dark. I'll get your ring there. Good job? No. As long as it's fairly close. Yep, that's good. And then you're going to wipe the rim. So use the clean part of the paper towel. So I usually end up folding it and try not to get the paper towel in the jam. So you're going to make sure you wipe around the whole thing. So move the jar unless it's too hot. So. It's too hot. Yeah, my fingers are pretty used to the heat in the kitchen. So I'll just help you out. Go for it. And then get your little tool to lift the jar. And you don't start the timer on your canning until all the jars are loaded and you make sure it's boiling. So it's boiling now, but they're obviously not all in there, so we won't start it yet. Good job, Farmer Boy.
Thank you.
We'll finish these up and we'll get back to you. So, Farmer Boy's finishing up a half pint that we had to pull out and clean up real quick because we only had a half pint worth of jam left. So, 5 pints and a half pint, 5 1/2. I also had to add a little bit more water. I added like hot water. So I'm hoping it'll start boiling again because you do want an inch or more, an inch to 2 inches above the tallest jar. So that's a little over an inch. So hopefully that'll come to a boil real quick so the jam is not like super overcooked. It'll be fine, but just like to keep some nutrients in there. So yeah, the lids we did not boil, we just kept them nice and warm or warm to hot. And did we cover everything? You want to add something?
Do you think that would fall over?
No, it'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the canning rack in this pressure canner a lot more than the wire type racks that come in the hot water bath canners or the boiling water bath canners. So that's why I like to use this canner.
And it looks like there's not as like an inch, but when you actually measure it, there's more than an inch.
Yeah.
Looks like there's only like half an inch.
Little optical illusion. So when I'm going to put the lid on, I'm not going to screw it down or anything. I'm just going to place it on top to keep the water hot. So you can see the air coming out of the jars already. Bubbles. So we started, when I filled this, I didn't weigh it or anything, but when I filled this, it was about 5 quarts before we started cooking it down. It cooked down to about 3 quarts, including adding about a little over 2 cups of sugar, a little bit of lemon juice, because the water evaporated, or the blueberry juice, some of it evaporated and cooked down, cooked together. So we thought we were going to get maybe 6, but we got 5 1/2. So, but that's pretty good. It'll be awesome to have blueberry jam in the middle of winter. So we'll wait for this to boil and then we'll start the timer. So I'm consulting my freshpreserving.com website here for blueberry jam. It's the ball website. I lost my ball book. I misplaced it. It's somewhere. So 1/4 inch headspace, which we did, and then 10-minute process time. So we are at a pretty low altitude, so we do not have to adjust for altitude. So here we go. So it's boiling now. I threw the lid on, so I'm gonna let it boil for 10 minutes, and then I'll take the lid off and pull the jars out. So while that canner is finishing up, I'm gonna show you another little project. We're just full of projects. These are some pickled beets and carrots. So I just opened it, that's why it popped. I put a Weck jar lid. They're European canning jars. Weck, W-E-C-K. It's glass, and I just put that in there to hold the vegetables down because you want the brine, the salt in the water, to be above the vegetables so that nothing goes bad, nothing spoils. So they've been fermenting for 5 or 6 days. They smell awesome. They smell pickled. I loosen the lids every about 12 hours or 24 hours so that the gases don't build up. That's just salt around the rim, but looks really good.
Because then when you go to open it, it'll explode.
Yeah, or I don't know, I'm sure it could break the glass if you had the fans on really tight and didn't loosen them. So all the gas buildup, but I'll probably end up using the liquid in here as beet kvass and just mixing that. It's like a nice electrolyte drink full of vitamins. I'll mix it with lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and lots of water. So it'll be mostly water, but I'll mix some of that in. It's kind of salty, so you definitely want to have the lemon juice in there to even things out a little bit. But I like to drink that. And then, oh yeah, we also threw garlic in here. So I think there's at least 6 pieces of garlic, or 8, so that we can each have one because we love pickled garlic. So delicious. We try to always have something pickled around. We're finishing up our sauerkraut, so we're kind of sad, but this will be an in-between sauerkraut season, and then cucumbers will start soon, so we'll have those all summer and fall in the fridge, so those will be great. Okay, time's up. You lift the lid away from you so that you don't get burned with the steam. A nice little tip. Just turn that off. I usually try to remember which one I did first, or I do the small jars, because I bet they require less time. In this recipe it doesn't say they require less time, but in most recipes there will be a slight difference. So I should take the small ones out first. And in a few minutes we'll hear the pop, pop, pop. And that means it's a good seal. So again, 5 quarts beginning, 5 quarts of berries, ended up being 5.5 pints. Very little sugar added compared to most recipes, and some lemon juice added, but we cooked it down a bit. So this one's sealed. You can tell it's going down. So if it doesn't seal, just throw it in the fridge and eat it later, soon. Sooner than later. Don't put it in your pantry. But I don't think we've ever had a fail with sealing. Woohoo! When they've all popped, which they have, you want to unscrew the lids and dry them off, and you can store them with or without the lids. If we store them with the lids, we just kind of put them partially on. That way they don't get stuck on there, because with the humidity around here, you just never know. So I've had a hard time getting a few bands off before because I didn't know about that. So you can totally store them like that. We have bands all over the place. Lots of extra ones. So you only need them when you're actually canning, and then when you're eating the food and like putting it in the refrigerator to save for later. So you actually don't need that many lids. But so after they've popped, I'd let them sit a little bit longer because they're still hot, and just dry them off. Like I'll leave them overnight and then dry them off right on them. I just do permanent marker on the lid and then store them in your pantry. So hope you enjoyed our video on canning blueberry jam.
I'm Eros, signing out.